Let's talk about some more terminology we will need to know for the exam. When it comes to terms, some of the common ones we're going to run into will be focused on legal aspects of essentially property and different types of property, but also too, it could also be based on what is called a warranty or trade secret as well. Let's talk about some of these. The first is intellectual property, patents, copyrights, trademarks, trade secrets, and warranties. The first is intellectual property. What exactly is intellectual property? From a perspective of most legal references you'll read, it comes down to what's considered an intangible asset. Well, what does that really mean? Basically, it is considered typically some kind of non-physical, basically property that you really can't per se put your hands on. It's derived, it's basically could be electronic format. It could also be physical format. But in general, it's going to be some kind of an asset that shows we own this specific type of property. Basically, it's an intangible asset produced by a party. Generally, it's going to be software. It could also be designs, diagrams, could be a proposal, could be logos as well, trademarkings, could even be, for example, a type of slogan. As long as it's been documented and registered, it could be considered property, and that is, again, considered property that has been created and is considered intellectual property. Now, here's one thing I want to highlight or point out to you. We want to be aware that there's two types of intellectual property. The first is industrial property. This could be a patent, a design, diagrams, software. It could be, for example, a proposal. It could also be areas such as specialized documents that sort of have policies as part of that. It could be like an AU policy that is really detailed and considered proprietary. Again, it's really what I would call liberal in how you could define industrial property in a lot of respects, it seems like. So just be aware that industrial property can be a wide range of things. Now, a trademark and copyrights, these are generally going to be areas such as a logo, books, trademarkings. Basically, this is more literary and artistic work. Patents. What is a patent? A patent is a property right granted by the U.S. federal government that allows the holder to exclude others from making, using, or offering for sale or even selling the protected invention. For example, if you design a new system, and let's say it's a software-based CRM, and it has something unique that you want to protect against another competitor copying, you go out and get a patent. This is done through the USPTO, which is a patent and trademark office. Another term that we want to, and again, it's very common for people sometimes to confuse patents, copyrights, trademarks, etc. So be aware, a copyright is going to protect original works of authorship. So if you create a website, you have a blog, you have a book, that's considered more copyright material. Could also be music as well, and can also be software programs as well. So it's, again, fairly liberal on what can be copyrighted. Trademarks are used basically to distinguish one company from another. Gives legal protection. When it comes to trade secrets are what? Basically a form of intellectual property. For example, you don't want to go work at one company in the Bay Area and go to another Bay Area company and take specific algorithms with you, because that could be considered a trade secret. That could get you in a lot of trouble, and there's plenty of good examples of engineers basically getting into some problems because they took something from one employer and brought it to another. But basically, trade secrets are intellectual property as well. When it comes to a warranty, now warranty is essentially what? It's a term of a contract. Basically, the seller agrees to specific guarantees. If you go out and you buy a new car and they give you a 1-year warranty or 3-year warranty on all parts, and the dealership, which represents the manufacturer, does not actually fix what's under warranty, then that could be a legal issue that you need to deal with. So how does that play into IT though? What about if you have a support contract with a specific database vendor and you need support and they don't provide the right support to you, even though it's clear that it states they will provide this level of support and here's what they'll do and how they're going to handle it? Again, if they're going to violate the warranty, then again, that's something that you need to deal with. When it comes to consumer warranties, there's usually 2 types, full or limited warranties in a lot of cases as well. And then lastly, just want to identify privacy issues as well. This is a term that I think needs to be defined from a legal perspective. Privacy is generally going to be defined as an individual condition of life characterized by exclusion from publicity. That's the legal definition, essentially. Well, what does that really mean? Basically, if you don't want someone looking into your life, then that's considered privacy. You want to be left alone. You don't want to be trampled on or anything like that, or interfered with, have someone peeking in the window, right? You want privacy. So technology, as we know in the tech sector, of course, can really invade privacy quite a bit. For example, cookies. Cookies are a really great way to let a lot of the ad providers, search engines, even stores we go to online, what we're buying, when we're buying it, where we're located. These areas really do affect privacy so much. One of the things that on the exam we really need to understand is how does our design affect privacy? And we'll be diving into those areas quite a bit throughout the course. We're still just getting started in the course, but I do want to ensure that you can understand what a privacy issue is and start to identify issues around privacy. Now, some of the issues from a corporate perspective you may run into could be know your customer. There's a lot of challenges around that right now from what I've seen. Basically, it depends on the sector as well that you're in, but basically it comes down to how do you handle customer data? How do you maintain it? Also, too, is it maintained internally or are you selling that data as well or maintaining it off-prem, for example? A lot of concerns around privacy. We're going to be talking a lot more about privacy over and over and over, and you'll start to see that privacy is a big deal on this exam. All right, let's move on to the next module.